if an officer is going to be a detective, he should be given thorough training on various ways of detection of crime.
The Nigeria Police Force is the country's lead internal security agency and has the statutory responsibility of maintaining security, law and order. In contemporary Nigeria, it is particularly important that the force has a leadership that is vibrant, resourceful and highly cerebral in order to connect with communities and successfully confront the complex challenges arising from crimes like political thuggery, violent extremism, insurgency, kidnap for ransom, human trafficking, rape and armed robbery, to mention but a few. The Office of the Inspector General of Police is saddled with the complex role of dealing with numerous demands relating to operational and administrative duties while simultaneously managing the internal needs of the force. The Nigeria Police Force therefore needs accomplished leaders who are knowledgeable, flexible and possess a wide range of consolidated policing and other skills to occupy the office of the Inspector General of Police. It was no surprise therefore that speculation in many sections of society in December 2018 tends to the related issues of the need for an insightful and pragmatic leader for the police force. And of course, who that leader would be and when he would emerge in the interest of national security became a grave concern. The speculation was effectively put to rest on January 15, 2019, when the federal government announced the appointment of Mohammed Abubakar Adamu, NPM MNI, then an Assistant Inspector General of Police (AIG) and directing staff at the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies (NIPSS) as the Acting Inspector General of the Nigeria Police Force to succeed IGP Ibrahim Idris. The President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, followed the announcement by formally decorating the acting IG with his new rank.
It is with total reverence of the Almighty Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala and deep appreciation of President Muhammadu Buhari, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, who considered me worthy of appointment, that I humbly address you today as the 20th Indigenous Inspector General of Police.
IGP Adamu, who is fondly called Adamu Lafia by his intimate friends and classmates, was born in Lafia town, the capital of Nasarawa State, on September 17, 1961. The Emir of Lafia, His Royal Highness Sidi Bagay Mohammed I, who knew the IGP from his cradle, speaks.
From childhood that we can speak of, you can see a personality different going and maybe heading towards a journey somewhere. He's been of excellent character, highly disciplined, and the clear thing that he stood out for was that he's been on the other side, reserved And you can say, as a matter of fact, whether sometime you will not even feel that the IG is around the corner because of his disposition. He concentrates on those things that are important, those things that matter to life, that can make a difference.
IGP Adamu holds a bachelor's degree in geography from Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, and a master's degree in international criminal justice system from the University of Portsmouth, United Kingdom. After his National Youth Service Corps (NYSC), he enlisted into the Nigeria Police Force as a Cadet Assistant Superintendent of Police (ASP) in 1986. He was trained at the famous Police College Ikeja, Lagos, after which he served in many capacities across the country, cutting his teeth in policing as a Divisional Police Officer DPO Ngbidi Police Station, Imo State Command. By 1989, Adamu assumed duty at the Force Criminal Investigation Department (FCID), Interpol's NCB on Alagbon Close, Ikoyi, Lagos, and remained there for almost a decade. He is an alumnus of the prestigious National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies (NIPSS) Kuru, Jos. Adamu's pathway to a successful police career began during his days as a crack detective at the legendary Force Criminal Investigation Department (FCID), Alagbon Close, Ikoyi, Lagos. The then Superintendent of Police SP Adamu's mettle and accomplishments as a crack detective paved the way for his selection as the best officer to represent the Nigeria Police Force at the Interpol General Secretariat, Lyon, France in 1997.
That's why the present IG, with his long exposure in Interpol, I think he spent almost 15 years in France or something. And he came into the mantle of leadership in the police to improve many things in the police.
A confident and true believer in Nigeria, Adamu proved to be a worthy representative of his country by distinguishing himself through sheer hard work and attention to detail as a specialized operative at Interpol's Economic and Financial Crimes Department. His professionalism and investigative competence led him to be appointed as director in Interpol's Subdirectorate, in which capacity he served between 1997 and 2002. Adamu went on to become the first ever African to be appointed Assistant Director in charge of African Subdirectorate from 2002 to 2005, and again the first African in the history of Interpol to serve as Director. He was also appointed a Director of NCB Services and I-24/7 Development from 2005 to 2007. While at Interpol, IGP Adamu led several criminal investigations for many countries, including Nigeria, traversing cities in Europe, the United States of America, Asia, and Africa. Through the instrumentality of his office as a director at Interpol, he put together the West African Police Chiefs Organization (WAPCO), a body whose broad mandate was to champion the restoration of security to the West African sub-region. The first conference of the West African Police Chiefs held in Cotonou, Benin Republic in 2001. When Adamu returned to Nigeria in 2011, after serving the country meritoriously on his international assignments, he was appointed Director in charge of Peacekeeping and Training Department at Force Headquarters, Abuja. Between 2012 and 2015, he was Deputy Commissioner of Police, serving at Kaduna and Ekiti State Commands respectively. He later became Commissioner of Police in Enugu State Command. Adamu was elevated to the rank of Assistant Inspector General of Police in 2016 and moved to Benin City, Zone 5 comprising Edo, Delta, and Bayelsa states, and later became a directing staff at the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies Kuru in 2018, a position he held until his appointment as the Inspector General of Police. There may have been several officers over the years, each with their own vision of what the Nigeria police force should be and how it should function. Adamu, a young middle-level officer on assignment at the Interpol, nurtured a distinct vision of how his dream Nigeria police should be. His emergence as the 20th Inspector General of Police in 2019 can be likened to prophetic statements made by Adamu himself in 2002 while serving at the Interpol General Secretariat, Lyon, France.
Give the present regime in the police the time to complete the restructuring, both structurally and operationally. And then when they start the implementation, they will see that crime in the country is gone down.
The police is expected to serve and protect the populace effectively, but in a complex socio-economic setting characterized by global economic recession, weak institutional structures, inadequate healthcare, education and food insecurity, the tendency is for more people to succumb to antisocial behavior and crime, and for the emergence of organized crime among other ills. Given the state of insecurity in 2019, how should a police force and its leadership function and respond, particularly in a Nigerian environment where, with the restoration of democratic government in 1999, citizens continue to demand greater scrutiny and accountability from law enforcement agencies at all levels? The content of his inaugural speech suggested that he had a clear understanding of the various pre-existing challenges and the approach required to tackle them efficiently through inspirational leadership, strategy and transparency.
It is my firm conviction, therefore, that if the quality personnel potentials of the force are blended with purposeful and motivational leadership at strategic level within the organizational hierarchy of the force, the lost glory of the Nigeria police, which remains a concern to government at all levels, to also citizens and human rights groups, the international community, and indeed well-meaning officers and men of the force will be restored.
The new IG also knew that in order to succeed, this vision had to be shared by a majority of stakeholders, including the officers and men of the Nigeria police force.
He has sat down to articulate the challenges of the future in policing the 21st century. Those challenges are embedded in ICT. You cannot do policing now without ICT. Embedded in human capacity development, because intelligence now, not only have the ICT, there must be human beings who can convert it and do the crime analytical setup to make it a meaning.
Indeed, the civil society is in sync with the IGP's acumen on leadership and respect for human rights.
When the current IGP came, it was like a sigh of relief. And so far, if you want to assess him based on what we have seen, I think I will say that he has done quite well in terms of showing empathy, uncommon empathy, leadership, and seriousness in tackling human rights abuses and in checking the excesses of police officers.
A new sheriff is in town, and I will just, plug it into that for IGP Adamu. Everything revolves around leadership. The changes we have seen in the last few months since he assumed power, it's all about leadership. If we get it right in leadership, every other thing will follow. I see in him a modest, a disciplined and an honest officer. And I wouldn't be surprised, reading through his biography and where he's coming from, a man that have been on the international scene as an Interpol, who have, I think, maybe one of even the only few Africans or the only African on that revered position, bringing that to bear. I think I should expect that things of this sort to be happening in the police force. Since he came on board, I must tell Nigerians that here is a man that operates on the principle of doing things right. He believes so much in that principle. He does not interfere with the activities of his subordinates across the line. He doesn't do that. He believes things must be done right, and that's leadership by example.
IGP Mohammed Adamu the leader of the largest police force in Africa, sets the tone about his pedigree as a tested team player, as well as his determination to champion change with the support of all well-meaning Nigerians, especially in the run-up to the highly anticipated 2019 general elections, and the uncertainty and apprehension about the transparency of law enforcement and how it would affect the outcome of the exercise. So, how did the police under his leadership fare during the 2019 elections?
When we came in, it was a period that there was going to be general election in 2019. It was a period that the morale of the personnel in the police was low. The officers themselves were kind of infiltrated by politicians. And we saw danger if we don't work to change the morale of our personnel before the general election. So we had to embark on identification of those that were disenchanted, those that were lackadaisical in approach to their duties, those that were ready to compromise. We had to work on them and get them back on board before the general election. And then we had to go into serious training and retraining of our personnel so that everything we do during that period will be in a professional manner. That led to the success of the general election.
Let me say in the first place that I have completely gotten a new impression about the police when I came in here. It all depends on the kind of leadership that we have. So far, so good. I'm satisfied with what I have seen. And I want to say Mr. President is also satisfied with the leadership of the police in this country and the way they are performing and the way they are conducting themselves.
Knowing fully well the kind of person he is, somebody who is very upright, straightforward, and does not believe in doing things otherwise. He has inculcated that discipline into the force by making sure that whoever, if you do your work right, okay, you'll be with him. But whoever goes do the other way around, certainly you will fall out with him. So that has made us to also make sure that we follow his own way. You know, the driver always dictates the pace of how things are. So that is why the way and manner the police behaved during the just concluded election last year, it is not surprising because the driver, who is the Inspector General of Police, has shown the way. And that is why today we are being adjudged as people who actually got pass mark in our electioneering operations.
He provided effective and efficient leadership that saw to the conduct of the last general elections. The police proved all the doubting Thomases wrong. We were able to guarantee a fair and level playing field for all the political actors. We were able to deal with expected challenges of thuggery, of violence, and so many incidents that were predicted. At the end of that election, the Nigerian Police Force got several awards, both locally and internationally, for the role they played in providing a very safe and conducive environment for that general election to take place.
The IGP's unruffled and friendly nature, plus his role as a transparent, impartial umpire during the conduct of the 2019 general elections, was a credit to him and the Nigeria Police Force. High-profile personalities speak to the professional competence of IGP Mohammed Adamu.
He has tried a lot because I have seen improvements in many areas in the police.
I see a man that has very deep knowledge of the roles that he's been asked to come and do. I see a man that truly believes that, yes, there are challenges with the Nigerian Police Force in which we also are common with most of our other institutions, but he's really, truly, really very committed at addressing them and changing them.
To be the IG of police is not easy. I think he's doing the best he can in the circumstance. I've just described the situation that he has to manage. You know, I talk about Onitsha and Anambra State, and he's got 36 other states to worry about. So he's got a burden, and I have great respect for him from that perspective. And I find him a fine gentleman. He's a man of few words, but when it comes to action, you can count on him.
I must tell you, policing generally is about the brain.
For us in the police today, having our Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu, is the best thing that has happened to the force. I can liken his posting as a square peg in a square hole. He is one person, if you watch from the contour lines of his face, one of God's blessed personages, a good man, a trustee of progress, a guardian of peace, and a harbinger of love.
Current IGP is very professional. We can't appreciate Mr. President for picking or choosing a square peg in a square hole. Considering the challenges and the decay that had existed in the service or in the Nigerian police force over the decades, and within the short period that the current IG has been in the office, and seeing exactly what the innovation and the transformation that he has brought into the Nigerian police force, I commend him. Commend the IGP for a great job.
First, I'll say it's a very calm personality, which is very important in being able to deal with issues of security. I found him to be a very intelligent officer, and he's a very focused human being.
One credit you can give to him is he's a professional. As a security person, he has worked purely as a professional security person. He is also a very humble, quiet person. He's not noisy. You could hardly hear him before he became an IG.
High-profile people in this country would tell me that this is one of the best Inspector General of Police produced by the Nigerian police in recent time. In fact, putting it together with all the past, this is one of the best. So, for me, that's enough a judgment to give him a pass mark in the administration of the Nigerian police.
I want to tell you that with the coming of the Inspector General of Police, the strategy for policing in the country has changed drastically, and for the better for the Nigerian police force and for the Nigerian society at large. What he has done is to look at the landscape of this country and the way and manner police have been conducting their operations in the country, and said, look, we're in a new 21st century rather. We cannot continue to do things the way we have been doing in the past. And he said for any police force in the world to make any meaningful progress, all their actions, all their activities should be intelligence driven. And through that, he tasked the Force Intelligence Bureau to come up with actionable intelligence to feed in the other departments, especially the operational department of the Nigerian police force.
You know that we have a highly focused Inspector General of Police. So of course, he has come with a lot of revolution, which has brought a lot of positive change into the force. And I'm sure from the things, activities, and so many things that are happening and the public perception about the force, you can agree with me that there are a lot of changes.
With such glowing testimonials and perspectives from respected senior citizens and senior police officers across the nation, will the tenure of the IGP Abubakar Mohammed Adamu bring the desired change in the management of policing in Nigeria? Will he imbibe the corporate governance template in relation to the management of the police force? Some members of his management team speak about the all-inclusive management style espoused by IGP Adamu.
Actually, we have a different styles of operation, particularly while dealing with term of management team. It's never a one-man show. And the Inspector General of Police to actually, throw this back to us. Any issue for discussion, we'll sit down and deliberate on it.
As a subordinate officer, I'm not supposed to assess my superior. But if I should tell you, since his arrival, what has happened with the management team is that no decision that is taken unilaterally by him. Any decision that comes out of the management team has the input of each and every member of the management team. And it's a consensus. Whatever position he takes, if there are superior arguments to that position and there are cogent reasons put forward, he always aligns himself with the opposing view. Once it is convincing and everybody aligned to the fact that that position is the best position for the force, it's the best decision to be taken by the management team, he will go with it.